Hi everybody, my name is Stefan, and today I'll be walking you through a demo of Workprodukt. We will be validating a data file containing typical healthcare information data that might be exported from a system, an EMR system such as Epic. To start, we will approach it from the data recipient perspective. The data recipient will be setting up a data template containing all of the fields needed for the data request, as well as any specific formatting for each field. Once that data request has been issued, we'll switch over to the perspective of the data sender. The data sender will receive that request and then generate a data file to send to the recipient. Before they send it over, the data sender will scan the file via the Workprodukt desktop app, and it will identify any potential issues in the file before the sender actually delivers it. That way, the sender can correct any issues before sending to the recipient and save everyone a lot of time. The first field we'll add to the template is the record type field. This will be a required field, and will tell Workprodukt what type of field it is. We're going to choose a record type identifier. Then we'll add more fields that are typical in demographic data files that come from systems, EMR systems like Epic. Now we're adding a date field. This is the patient date of birth field. So we're going to select the date field as a type, and we're also going to select the format of the date field. So we're going to choose the typical North American month, day, year format for that. This time we're adding another field. It's called the coding admission date. This will also be a required field. What we want to demonstrate here is also the format type, similar to what we did for the patient date of birth, but we also want to choose a date range. We want to identify when the data set has records with a coding admission date that are outside of our range, because we don't want to take in that data. And now we're adding a balance field. So this is a self-pay balance, which is a typical field in Epic and other EMR systems. And this is just a field to show what the patient, what balance the patient has outstanding. So we're going to set the boundaries between $5 and $1 million. And similar to the coding admission date, this will screen out data that has amounts below or above that. Now we are switching over to the desktop app, and this is where we'll simulate an external party that is going to validate a file for us. So we start by choosing that first data file. So immediately we realize that we have more data fields than we expected. So we're going to close this out, and we're going to go check on that data file to see what's going on. So looking at the data field or the data file, you can see that we have 42 columns in the data set, and that seems wrong. And what we see is that we have coding the patient phone number is duplicated in this data set. So we've run another file. So we choose another file which has corrected the issue that we had before. Let's run that again. So now we see that the validation has detected an issue, and it's detected that the patient date of birth is in the wrong format. So we go look at the file again to see what the problem is, and then we look at the date of birth field for the patient. You can see it's in that 1980, the year, month, day format, and it should be similar to what we see in the coding admission field. So we fix that in our third file, and we go and let's run some checks on that to see what happens. We found another issue. Let's see what it is. So the self-pay balance data is outside of the bounds. So let's go look at that field now. So sorting by self-pay balance in the raw data file, we scroll over and we see that the first record has a balance of $1.84. And we saw, if we look before, we see our minimum balance was $5. So we run a new file and we go and let's run our checks again one more time. And this time it looks like all of the issues have been resolved. So we start the questionnaire, and this just allows us to look at some sample data in the data set and just validate that what we're seeing in that particular field should match what that particular header is on that field. So we go through all of the columns, we make our selections, and we finish up by looking at the self-pay balance, and that looks correct. And now we're going to toggle back to the web interface. Over on the web interface, on the receiving end of the data validation, we can look into the validation after our partner has told us that they've completed it, and we can see how many times they've run the validation and what issues they sent over to us or they flagged for us in their validation. Thank you for your time. Please reach out with any questions.